welcome to our discussion of Deadpool and Wolverine and another huge comic book film, Jonah Hex,
Yeah,
starring Thanos. But yeah, first we'll
also
start with
Cable.
Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah, that's right. He is Cable, and yeah, he's done better comic book movies. But we're gonna start
Yes.
with Deadpool and Wolverine because that's the more current film, the more
Liked
box
film.
office grossing and liked and relevant.
I don't know anything about saving worlds, but you do.
Trust me, kid, I'm no hero. You were an X-Man. You were the X-Man.
It's the first Deadpool film in the MCU.
That's right. Yeah, the first two were specifically Fox Marvel movies, and I think
Fox.
the first one that might have been the first movie you and I saw at the movies together. Besides,
Yeah.
the little
The
short
AMC
film project in
by the
Boston.
Boston Common. Yeah.
Yep.
We went to that theater a lot. Yeah, it might have been. And I think when I saw the second Deadpool, I was really sick. Like I didn't see that with you. I saw it with other friends
Right.
of mine, but I saw it at that theater. And I remember because my friends were leaving the theater. I'm like, they asked me like, "Did you like it?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I feel like really sick. I'm gonna go vomit now in the bathroom." And I'll see you guys later.
That's no fun. I'm glad you're
No.
feeling better now. It's
That's
funny-
that's how you were when you saw Hardcore Henry, right?
Right,
You were like
and,
really sick.
Yeah, I didn't feel it was from the Emerson Dining Hall. I wasn't feeling well. Funnily enough, you mentioned Deadpool 2. When I saw the first two Deadpool movies, I wasn't in a great headspace for personal reasons. Different times, I won't go into it. But yeah, for the third one, we were both feeling better,
I
healthier.
guess relatively, aside from people calling me Uncle Fester on the internet, I guess I guess I was feeling fine. But yeah, the movie. I mean, this one. I just rewatched the second Deadpool for reference and some of the X-Men movies. Not all the Deadpool movies or all the X-Men movies. I didn't rewatch the first Deadpool, but I remember a lot about it.
Yeah,
That was kind of like really like one of those lightning in a bottle kind of films. Like no one thought it was gonna do well. No one knew like who the fuck Deadpool was. It had like a $50 million budget, directed by like a no-name
Tim
director.
Miller, right?
Yeah, it does. I think he's just did animation before that, and since that he did like the Terminator movie, Dark Fate, and
Right,
whatever.
yeah.
But like then that movie was a huge hit.
Deadpool,
No one
not
thought.
the Terminator one.
No, not Terminator.
Yeah.
Although that was whatever, not as bad as Genesis, but Deadpool 1 was like this huge. It was really like a game changer for the comic book genre. I think at the time it was a
Yeah.
breath of fresh air because it was like a parody of superhero movies, and it didn't take itself seriously, and it was making fun of a lot of those tropes, which had become cliche at that point in time, and people were very familiar with. And then with the second one, it's basically if just Deadpool was in a John Wick movie. That's basically like it's just like a standalone Deadpool adventure. It's an action film, but it's well done. It's got good characters. Josh Brolin's great in it, and it's got like just it's funny. It's like Deadpool with more of a budget. It's got more resources than that first one for sure. Maybe not as much of a novelty to it, but it's still a good movie. And then you get this one, and it's okay. I didn't find it horrible or anything, but I mean it's directed by Sean Levy, who he did like Night at the Museum.
Yeah, a lot of movies that I saw in my youth, like Big Fat Liar. Yeah, you met the first Cheaper by the Dozen with Steve Martin. I think that was, and the Pink Panther remake.
But a recent and very relevant example of a film he directed that I think people will mention when
Free
talking
Guy.
about this movie is Free Guy,
Yeah,
which is a children's film, basically. I mean, I
think it's like PG-13 though.
I don't see anyone over like the brain of like a child, like an 8-year-old's brain, enjoying it. You
Yeah.
know,
It has its fans, but it's flop. My dad hated it. He's like, I want
It
like,
is.
that those hours of my life back.
that's a good way. It's cotton candy. It's total
Yeah,
fluff.
mush.
But it's too fluff. It has like nothing going on.
Yeah,
And,
I mean, not that like accessible is necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, it's just like kind of very unimaginative. Something like Barbie is much more creativity and, energy to it. Yeah, Free Guy is just kind of like a hodgepodge of, elements from like, the Lego Movie and Wreck-It Ralph, a bunch of other ones you can mention. It doesn't really stand on its own.
Yeah, and this movie starts to get to that level, although it's not nearly as bad. It's definitely toned down from Free Guy. Mm-hmm. But it does just kind of... I thought of the Spider-Man movie, the No Way Home, and how well that handled the references and incorporating the characters into the film. Because in that film, you got Alfred Molina's Doc Ock and Tobey Maguire. I'm not spoiling anything at this point. This movie's been out for a long time.
A lot of people saw that one.
What? How dare you spoil that? But no, that movie, though, like, they're in it, but I think what worked about it was that they actually extended the storylines a bit and gave them arcs, and it felt like they were kind of doing something with the characters, whereas here in Deadpool and Wolverine, it's a bit more inconsistent. Some characters get some good stuff, some of them don't get much, and it's just like a lot of reference humor, which, again, it's Deadpool, I get it. But I don't know. It just didn't do a lot for me. It was very hit or miss, mostly.
I think the humor worked well. Probably, I think the humor was probably stronger than the action. I found.
Yeah.
And I agree. To back up a little bit, I also enjoyed the first two. I think they're pretty funny, especially, you mentioned like the first one. I think that came out around the same time as, Batman v Superman. It definitely felt like a breath of fresh air because, some superhero movies, like that one, are very self-serious and not very fun. And Deadpool, it was very tongue-in-cheek, a lot of meta humor. It's the same with the second one, too. So the third one, like you mentioned, it's the first in the MCU proper. And I guess the idea is Deadpool. So at the beginning of the story, Deadpool wants to become an Avenger. I guess it's like set like before like the snap, that scene. He meets with. We want to get into spoilers. It's kind of hard to
that's fine because so many people have seen this.
Yeah. So he meets with Jon Favreau's character, Happy, and like, you're not gonna make the Avengers, blah blah blah. And then like he goes back to like. He works at like the car dealership, I guess, or whatever. He's selling cars.
He just gets like a normal job, which is it's supposed to be funny.
Yeah, and then he get there are definitely some laughs, and then so it's like the Time Variance Authority, the one they're in the Loki show.
They're in Loki. They're a big part of the TVA, and they come to kill Deadpool. It gets kind of they want Deadpool to do something.
It's something about his timeline. His timeline's going away basically, but he's gonna he'll be protected. And then I guess they would like explain that like the anchor. It's like the key person in his timeline was Wolverine, who we saw die in Logan,
and that's why the timeline's dying off. And that the timeline has all of Deadpool's like friends from the other movies. Who are just like a cameo in this film. Yeah,
they get very short shrift, I found. Because I like the supporting character. Besides like the Rob Delaney character, he pops up a few times. But otherwise, because it's like Leslie Uggams as, she's the neighbor, his roommate, whatever, the blind woman.
Yeah.
And I thought
Marina Baccarin.
Yeah. Right, she's the girlfriend.
There's so much shit going on in this movie.
Yeah, one of the bigger issues I had is how much like her character is sidelined. The girlfriend, I think Vanessa is the character's name, because I like the character fine, but she like wasn't in the second one much, and she's not in this one much. And like one of the big like motivating factors for Deadpool is like to get back with his girlfriend, but it just feels like she's been like sidelined for so much time.
Yeah, I definitely get that too. She's a big part of the first one mostly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's right with more money being involved, and it's a franchise. You got to throw in Wolverine, and you got to throw in, Blade, and we're in spoilers now, so you got to throw in Blade and Elektra and Gambit, played by Channing Tatum, and the Human Torch.
That was funny.
We got to throw in all this shit, and it's like it's some of the best stuff in the movie, but at the same time, it's kind of dragging the movie down because it's we need to make time for like story and these things, and
There's
just a lot going on.
Yeah, and so yeah, right. So Deadpool, he meets with one of the time variance guys, played by Matthew McFadden, who explains like your timeline's going away. He's like, Deadpool's, what if I find another Wolverine, to act as like the key, the anchor. I think that was the word they used to hold the timeline together. So he eventually finds like a different variant. So this is not the same Wolverine that we saw from the previous X-Men movies, but another guy. Another version of Wolverine, and then they get like banished. I guess it's hard to remember. Like
they get banished to again. It's tied into Loki, so they get banished to it's like purgatory,
right?
Basically,
I think
it's in Loki also. They get banished to that, and then they establish in Loki it's like this world, and there's this demon cloud thing that eats things, and but right, it's like. The movie the stakes of everything start to become hazy
a little
at that point because you're not in any sort of reality. You enter reference world at that point. It's like the 20th Century Fox logo and like a bunch of the Human Torch from like the 2004 fucking Jessica Alba movie, and
I
you
think
start to get lost a bit in like what's grounding anything.
True, but on the other hand, I do like it was a funny reveal because you think Chris Evans, it's like Captain America, but he's as the Human Torch.
Yeah, it's funny,
and nobody really gives a shit that he gets obliterated. Because it is the best movie with the Human Torch.
Yeah, that's saying a lot, right?
Fair is fair. I get that. I don't disagree. Just to be devil's advocate, the Deadpool movies are in general very silly and a lot of juvenile humor. So, but that is a fair point. That the stakes are a little muddled. Like the idea that Deadpool's timeline is being phased out is a little abstract because we don't really see that. We're kind of in the void.
Mm-hmm. And it's also just not really the focus of the story either. Mm-hmm. It just kind of goes, oh, well, that's that. We're in purgatory. Where it's just like, or Loki, that's more the point of the series. Like, it's about, like, magic and time travel and that kind of shit. Like, I can suspend my disbelief. It just kind of, it starts to get muddled when you start throwing, like, too many elements in there. And I don't know, the first two just kind of work better with their simplicity and the novelty of it. Even the second one, it's just like very straightforward compared to this movie.
yeah, because it was like the idea of like the Josh Brolin character, he was like traveling back in time to save his family and all that. Yeah, right. It was all like time travel stuff. Incidentally, obviously, we're going to cover a different Josh Brolin movie, but I guess he was annoyed that his character didn't come back for the third Deadpool. I guess it was too big. It might have been even busier if they included him again.
I noticed. Yeah, right. I noticed Domino wasn't in it as well.
Yeah, a lot of the side characters from the second, like the boy was the kid from Hunt for the Wilder People.
Hunt for the Wilder People.
No
right.
T.J. Miller, but that's probably just as well.
Yeah, T.J. Miller.
He was a weak link. Yeah, in the other two.
Yeah, he was. Right. Yeah, they're right. You're the one who sent me that article that I retweeted. It was like
him and Ryan Reynolds don't get along.
I'm not coming back to work with Ryan Reynolds.
You can't fire me, I quit.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's like, all right.
Want to talk about what's haunting you, or should we wait for a third act flashback?
Go fuck yourself.
The core of this movie was really Hugh Jackman
returning to the role.
Ryan Reynolds. Mm-hmm. And Hugh Jackman, he's great, as Wolverine. He's always great. He was born to play this role.
Yeah, it fits him. It was kind of like a chance for him to reprise the role without undoing the end of Logan, because that was a pretty definitive conclusion. And
yeah, it feels a bit of like an epilogue for at least the Laura character, because she comes back and you see kind of her. Yeah, her a little bit. It's just a part of this movie.
Yeah, not to be, it's not a huge deal. I think it is a little jarring because Logan, we love Logan. We covered that before.
Yeah.
And, it is kind of like a semi, like a follow up to that. But obviously, this movie's much sillier. It's a lot of different tones.
When they throw that scene in there, like the Hugh Jackman Laura scene, right? It is kind of jarring because it's like, wait, weren't we watching like a comedy where like 40 minutes ago he was beating the shit out of guys with Hugh Jackman's skeleton?
not to be like pedantic. Oh, it doesn't make sense. No, it's just like it is interesting how much
and it's so tones. Extreme.
Yeah,
the contrast between what like the silliness of Deadpool and just how dark Logan was.
But it is, I can take it more seriously than X-Men Origins Wolverine. It's funny they didn't do like a ton of references. They referenced
Not
it
in
more
this
in
one,
Deadpool 2. That was funny.
Deadpool 2, they reference it a lot. They reference Green Lantern. Those are some of the funniest bits.
Yeah.
One of the funniest bits of Deadpool 2 is the post-credit scene. Like, all that stuff, when he goes back in time or whatever and rescues his girlfriend, and then he shoots, Deadpool in Wolverine Origins.
He shoots
and then
Ryan Reynolds.
and then he shoots Ryan Reynolds reading the Green Lantern script. Like, that's some of the funniest stuff. And it actually ties into, like, the story, too. Like, he brings back, the Rob Delaney character and whatever.
Yeah, he pops up quite a few times.
It ties in. Like, to me, that's like a good post-credit scene. if you're gonna have one of those in these movies, make it good.
And correspondingly, I think some of the funnier jokes in this one were like the meta jokes, like the shots at the MCU, because it's like Deadpool and Wolverine when he brings
the shots at Disney, like the pegging joke and stuff.
It's like you're joining the MCU at a low point.
Yeah. But it is kind of odd, like, right, this is like a Disney movie technically, and there's all sorts of like crude humor in it. It shows you like how things are so odd now, like just the structure of everything. The fact that Disney's like somehow linked to this film.
Well, I'm sure they would have gotten a lot of backlash if they watered it, Deadpool.
Yeah,
down.
Exactly. So they didn't. But right, it's like it's just things are so odd now, like. You can watch Poor Things on Disney Plus if you have like a Hulu subscription. Like, what? Like, does that
baby? Yeah, it is. It'd be funny to because when we were like little kids, it was more just like, oh, don't get that thing at the video store. But now it's like everyth's like
it's so easy to watch. You just like click on it, you can see Emma Stone's boobs.
Right.
But the movie's poking fun at that, I guess.
Yeah. It's like you can't do coke.
It's the stupidity of like all these rights issues and like, I don't know. Well, yeah, you see like the Fox logo in the back in one scene, like in
it's like a graveyard.
Like it's like buried under sand or whatever. Like that made me laugh. That was funny, and I really thought it was funny when Wesley Snipes showed up. That was pretty funny. I did not expect Wesley Snipes to show up.
And Elektra, it's Jennifer Garner. They make like a Daredevil, Ben Affleck joke, like, oh, don't worry about it. Whatever. I forget the exact line, but that was funny.
Yeah, and then Gambit, played by Channing Tatum. I like that bit.
Yeah,
do you know about that? Like, they were supposed to do a Gambit movie.
I heard that. Yeah, I don't know like how far it got along, but obviously
probably not very far because he's just not an interesting character to make a movie out of. He's in Gambit's in Wolverine Origins, if you remember, in the Vegas.
Yeah, Taylor
stuff.
Kitsch. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Taylor Kitsch plays him. Right, exactly.
He was like, it was like the part, like with the fire
that's what he's doing. It's like the Looney Tunes scene when he's doing this to the fire escape. Yeah, right, exactly. But that character's supposed to be, I think, from Louisiana, New Orleans.
Yeah, he's got like a Cajun accent.
Yeah. This variation of him. Some variations, he just it sounds like a guy from Louisiana, but this one's it's like a French kind of. Yeah. Because it's New Orleans. So whenever he talks, you don't know what the fuck he's saying.
Yeah, Deadpool makes note of that. Yeah,
that was pretty funny. That was one of the better jokes.
There definitely plenty of laughs. It's not like not all the jokes hit. I think that the funnier ones are like the really specific one line is like when Wolverine puts his mask on and Deadpool's like, oh, it's got the blowjob handles. Just like really quick lines like that. Yeah, some other ones like. There was like it's whatever. What's the character? It's like Professor X's sister. Well, I was talking about like it was like the part she's sticking her fingers in his face, and he's like, can we get an intimacy coordinator? I'm like, some of the, like that joke's okay. So, obviously, like a lot, not all of them are going to hit. There's so many jokes. But yeah, so, some are like, yeah, that was,
Yeah, I mean, that is the way all of them are, to be fair. Like the Deadpool movies. Some of the one-liners hit, some of them don't.
Yeah, it is. They are throwing a lot out. Yeah, but there are a good amount of laughs in all three, I'd say.
Yeah. It's hard because the Deadpool character is supposed to be annoying. So they have to ride that line of like making him not annoying to the audience, but annoying to the characters in the movie.
Yeah, I think like
Which
in
they mostly do.
Yeah, and the first two, like the Negasonic teenage warhead, she kind of filled that role as the foil. Like that's a fun. That's not really played up as much in this one, but that was like a good dynamic because she was very cynical. She's like not really impressed with Deadpool. He's like ripping off his underwear or whatever.
Yeah, and then Domino kind of acted as that in the second one, and he has a few foils like Colossus and whatever, but like the dynamic with him and Wolverine is great because Wolverine's like the straight man, and I like the fight with them in the car.
Sure, I think it got a little repetitive with them like stabbing each other. I don't know.
You didn't like that scene?
I like the scene fine. It just felt like there was a lot of that throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm. I felt that about the end bus fight with all the Deadpools. That felt like a scene like out of Free Guy.
Yeah, that dragged on a bit. I agree.
Yeah.
It was like Matthew McConaughey's voice, and I think Blake Lively. She's like girl.
Blake Lively's
they do spend a lot
Deadpool.
of time on that part.
Yeah, it's a little too much, and some of the running gags, like the dog and then the handsome Deadpool.
Nice pool. Yeah.
Yeah, like they always have to throw in like Ryan Reynolds without the mask on. Because like he's like, come on, I can't be like the whole movie is a burn victim. Like, I'm like, sure, fine.
And I think it is meant to be like specifically with the Deadpool Wolverine dynamic, like a throwback to like classic, like buddy cop movies or buddy comedy, like 48 Hours and Midnight Run, which is one of my favorite movies. I think that was like a major influence.
Yeah,
this guy's on a road trip or whatever, arguing the whole time.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman mentioned, I think Midnight Run was like one of the.
It's classic. See that if people haven't seen that, they definitely should.
Yeah.
Matthew McFadden mentioned that as one of his favorite movies for Letterboxd and Dog Day Afternoon, so I know he has good taste. Tom Wamsgans.
Yeah, I'm glad he took a break from running. What's the name of the news?
Oh, I'm blanking on it. It's Royco. What was it called?
Royco.
What was that? Isn't that the news? And it wasn't Royco. What was it called? It was like Wayne Star, Royco. Wasn't that the name of it?
Yeah, it's like Waystar, right?
Waystar, yeah.
Yeah. But right.
Spoilers for Succession.
He took a break. He took a break from doing that to. Oh yeah. Whatever. Yeah. It's over.
Yeah, he fits in well, Matthew McFadden, and like I think the new additions are fine.
Funny.
Like Emma Corrin and as the villain, they have a interesting look.
Time Variance Authority in the story, I guess it worked fine. It's like they threw in the only thing people care about in the MCU at this point, which is Loki. They're like, what do people like in the MCU? Well, they don't like the Marvels. They don't like the Eternals.
You didn't like Eternals?
They don't like anything we've set up in the past 5 years. So what do they like? Well, they like a couple seasons of a TV show called Loki. So let's make that like the focus of Deadpool.
WandaVision was popular, right? Yeah, I mean, like
that too. But they already did that, and they already
Strange.
beat that to death with Doctor Strange, and ruined that. So now they get to ruin Loki in this. Not ruin it, but they make fun of it and like the absurdity of it, and that stuff was fine. I liked seeing the Loki stuff and right. It's it's what I expected it to be. This movie. It didn't like blow me away, but it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, people are really enthusiastic about. Obviously, it's making a lot of money. Yeah, I know people like have already seen it like multiple times. Like it's on, like,
there's always people like that. And there's some people who thought it sucked. I've actually had like in my circle anyway. It's kind of mixed. Some people think it's all right, and some people actually don't like it. I think it's dumb, which I get. It's not Free Guy, but I did get like that.
Well, I think that is kind of the vibe. Not that like that's
Yeah,
like an
it's
excuse
kind of
for
the
the
vibe.
movie. I'm not saying I don't think the movie's bad. It's just like that it's kind of like the general.
It's a modern Sean Levy film.
Right.
It's yeah.
Big
like
Fat
that
Liar,
other
he did that
movie
one
he
too.
made, The Atom Project. That
I
was
didn't
it.
see that. Yeah.
That was so dumb. It was just like, it's like a Spielberg movie. It's like him trying to make a Spielberg movie,
But not
basically. It's
very
like
well, I
E.T.
guess.
or Close, except it's fucking dumb. It's like, it's like you're not
Yeah.
Spielberg,
All right.
I'm not a fan of that director, like the
I was
High
not a
Roller.
fan of-
I was not a fan of that director. That's what
Steve
Bobby
Sharappa.
Bacala. Yeah, that's what he said about
Yeah, the
the
High
director
Roller
of High Roller,
Fun.
A.W. Vidmer.
This is
It's
better
only
than High
credit.
Like
Yes.
yeah. Period.
So
And yeah, like I saw some. I don't know if it was on YouTube. Some poll was like, "What's the better multiverse movie? This or Across the Spider-Verse?" That's a much better movie. I don't think that's close.
yeah. There's other better multiverse movies like Ralph and the Multiverse.
Right.
Free on
Sure.
YouTube. Go
Check
check
it
it
out.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess
I enjoyed it a lot. I don't want to sound negative. It's just it's a Marvel movie. It's a summer Marvel movie. It's got the action. It's got the effects and the spectacle,
Comedy.
the
yeah,
comedy.
there's spectacle.
It's got the Wesley Snipes.
I've still never seen the Blade movies. I got to get on that.
Yeah, you should. The second one's directed by Guillermo del Toro,
Right.
and the third one's one of the worst movies of all time.
I think they mentioned it at some point or
The
alluded to
director,
it.
yeah, David S. Goyer, the director, said it's like the worst experience he's ever had making a movie.
That's fun. Like the bulk of the ending credits for this one are like paying tribute. It's paying tribute to the Fox Marvel movies, like the X-Men movies. A lot of I haven't even seen all of them. There's like Daredevil and Elektra.
Yeah.
Fucking
We should watch
horrible
more of those.
Fantastic Four movies. Those
Yeah,
are all
those
so
are
bad.
classics. They showed like all the shitty X-Men movies, even like they showed a clip of Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, and like I think Apocalypse.
Oh, good times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Apocalypse. Everything they built will fall, and from the ashes of their world, we will build a better one.
I barely remember that. It's like
Yeah, that
Oscar,
was
it's not
Oscar
Oscar
Isaac.
Isaac's finest role.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought he was great in the blue paint, the Blue Man Group makeup.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
This
there
is
was-
better than that movie.
Yeah, it is. So this is the fourth movie of Phase 5.
Yeah, which it's so weird. This is the first Deadpool movie in the MCU, but it's the third Deadpool movie.
Period.
Right. So in the MCU, where would you about rank it? Because would you say it's better than Doctor Strange, the new one?
The second, maybe,
I'd say probably
probably
not by much,
overall.
but yeah.
That one was pretty messy too. I think the visuals kind of say Sam Raimi. I think that kind of
Yeah,
boosted it a
definitely.
bit. But yeah, that definitely wasn't great.
It had some redeeming parts to it.
I think the multiverse stuff worked a little better, and this specifically that one had the scene with Patrick Stewart. I think this one worked a little better because it was more played for laughs.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd have to think about where it ranks in the whole MCU. At least for this phase, I think I'd go the third Guardians. I like that better than this.
Yeah,
and then,
I like that better too.
Then this one, and then the Marvels, and then Quantumania.
Yeah, this is much better than the Marvels and Quantumania.
Quantumania is one of the worst movies they've done.
Yeah, and the Marvels too was not good.
It was very forgettable, I
It was
thought.
pretty bad.
That one was kind of
this is like a second, but right, like Guardians I think is much better as well.
it was more standalone. I think that kind of worked in its favor.
Yeah,
Even though it is
yeah.
a sequel.
Right. These are all just kind of bogged down in like the MCU bullshit at this point.
Yeah, but it's fine for what it is. In terms of action comedies, I think one of the best examples is Scott Pilgrim. I think those the action and the comedy are on a pretty equal level. Yeah, I'm sure people could think of other examples, but that one kind of sprung to mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't have much else to say about it, honestly. It's just it was fine. It was well done for what it was. Like I actually liked the costumes. I wanted to mention that.
Yeah.
Like the
yellow.
costumes were cool. The yellow, because that's I don't think they've ever done that because it's hard to make that look not goofy.
I
as
think
shit.
First Class when they were in yellow. I thought they
Yeah,
were.
they might have been.
I think that was
Something
probably
like
the
that.
only other example.
But yeah, exactly. Like Wolverine, they did it well in this movie. Probably because it's just so hard to make that look good. You know, they got some fucking genius guy with like the best 3D printer in the biz to make the costume. He's got like the best 3D printer. Like I can make a yellow suit look cool.
I will also add before we move. I did enjoy the climax with the two with the Madonna song. I think that worked well. I like that part.
It's one of the better MCU movies in a while because they've been pretty like inconsistent as of late, and this is one where I'm like, oh yeah, that was a fine movie. That's about like the standard I expect.
Yeah, I think post like Endgame and Far From Home, I think they've ranged from like they've been like some have been good, like I liked like the third Guardians and No Way Home, and then like most of them were okay, and then like Eternals and Quantumania were like pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean they make jokes about it being on like at a low point right now, but it doesn't change the fact that it is.
Yeah, it's better
it's the
than like
34th film in the MCU, by the way.
that's a lot of movies. Yeah, it's better than Thor 4. That one was kind of mediocre.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan of that one.
Yeah, I know. I think we were a little more positive on it when it came out, but yeah, I haven't like.
I think everyone was when it first came out, and I wasn't like, oh, it's amazing or whatever. But
sure,
it wasn't. I mean, Ant-Man though, that one right away we were all like, nah.
Yeah.
To be fair, Ant-Man, we were like, nah, that was a piece of shit.
Yeah, it looked
the
like
second I saw MODOK, I'm like, nah, something's rotten in Denmark. Here.
Yeah, fucking Spy Kids 3D ass looking movie.
Yeah, literally with the costumes and the George Lopez MODOK character.
Right, yeah. At least this one, it wasn't.
Like,
it didn't feel like it was watching like CGI gunk the whole movie.
Yeah, even though there was probably a lot of CGI, but at least
not to say
better.
there was none, but wasn't to that extent.
Yeah,
Like it was just like all
ground it
green
a
screens.
bit. Yeah, it wasn't all in the quantum realm. That would have been funny if Deadpool was like, "Let's go to the quantum realm." Make fun of all those fucking You get to see that fucking stupid character again, the girl from Love Lies Bleeding.
Yeah. Like, why do we give a shit about it?
Whoa, it's that character.
Look at that. Yeah, you're right. They could have made a joke. Let's like go back to like, would you rather be stuck in the quantum realm? This was my first time. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. My first time. I thought you were gonna say
this was my recommendation.
No,
I thought you were gonna say that.
Yeah. No.
We'll talk about the film you recommended. No, this is a film I recommended because I saw it a long time ago, and like any film I recommend, it's got a special place in my heart. Like any film we talk about here, I only talk about the films that really mean something to me, and this movie really means something to me. Because I don't know. It's just it's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking horrible. This movie.
It's
I saw when
bad.
it came out.
I did not.
Right.
I remember hearing about it.
The runtime for this movie. Sorry, you were gonna say something. Let me look up the runtime.
Without credits, I counted. It's 72 minutes long.
Yeah, without credits. Yeah.
Which that's very short. It's worth noting. This came out in 2010.
81 minutes with credits. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So the credits are like 9 minutes.
Pretty much
Slow as fuck going like slow as a fucking snail taking a shit.
It opened the same day as Toy Story 3, and this movie is shorter than the first Toy Story.
Yeah.
Which, incidentally, the director, Jimmy Hayward, because he was an animator, he worked on the first 5 Pixar movies, which is pretty cool. He also worked on Mike's New Car, the Monsters, Inc. short.
Yeah.
At least that was meant to be short.
And then I think he left Pixar.
Yeah.
at some point to do like
Horton
other
Hears a
movies
Who.
to
He directed
direct.
that,
Yeah, and then he did
co-directed
Horton
that.
Hears a Who.
For the best Dr. Seuss movie, but that's not saying
He
much.
did Freebirds.
I never saw that. I think that
And he
was
did,
after.
and then he also did Jonah Hex.
Right, his
which
first
is, you know,
live action movie.
Right, it's pretty lackluster, like directing career.
I mean, it's cool he worked at
Like when you
Pixar.
to go from Pixar to Jonah Hex. I mean,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
it's
yeah. I mean, speaking of animated movies, it's only a couple minutes longer than Dumbo, which is like barely featured. It's like Duck
watching a
Soup.
movie, from the 30s or whatever, where they're like
Right.
an hour long.
Bride
Like
of
the movies were
Frankenstein.
shorter, but
Yeah.
it's like one of those.
Yeah,
We're like, when I
Frankenstein.
saw it in the theater, I was out of there in like a fucking hour. My mom picked me up, like, you out of there already? Yeah. It's just so funny how short this movie is. I wanted to see if we can get a recording to,
We should
71
try.
minute? We
Yeah,
might.
I mean,
at least get close. I mean,
we could, yeah. I mean,
we put Jonah Hex on in the background while you're watching this, and it'll be over by the time we're done talking.
If you do that, it's pretty weird.
Yeah, I think it was on Max at some point, and then they took it off, probably because Josh Brolin's agent got it. I don't know.
Demanded
He
it.
complained. Yeah,
I mean, not to say like a short movie is necessarily thin, but like I mean, there's something like Persona or Before Sunset, but those are like completely different kinds of movies. Those are not like traditional like point A to point B kind of stories.
yeah.
Those are more art house. This is like a blockbuster, or even like some comedies like Spinal Tap and like Evil Dead 2. Like comedies can run, but like those are all like killer, like no filler kind of thing. This is not. This is like a major superhero movie. It should not be like fucking shorter
Comic
than
book
like
movie.
Chicken Run.
Yeah. Did you know the screenplay was from written by Neville Dean and Taylor?
I did know that because
Yeah.
I didn't find out till afterwards, but it did remind me a bit of Ghost. What is it called? Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance, like the
Yeah.
second one. Yeah, similar, like a western kind of vibe.
Yeah. It's, I guess, Jonah Hex. It's a comic book character. It's a DC comic,
Yeah,
which is the mark of quality, especially in this day and age. DC Comics.
right.
And it's Josh Brolin is Jonah Hex, and he's a Confederate soldier,
Yes,
and John Malkovich is his commanding officer,
right.
and then he commands him to burn down a hospital, and Jonah Hex says no, so
He kills his family.
he kills his family. Yeah, his name's Quentin Turnbull, John Malkovich.
Yeah.
Probably one of the worst villain characters, like, in a movie. I mean, he's
Yeah.
just like a fucking mustache twirler.
He really. I was thinking the
don't-
same. Yeah, very this blandly evil. Not really taking advantage of Malkovich's unique screen presence and his voice.
Yeah.
He's just like the most boring like vanilla ass villain.
Every scene is just him killing innocent people. It's
He
just like how many
shoots a lot
innocent
of
people. Yeah, he just shoots people in the face. This guy like, please don't kill the women and children. He's like, no.
Kills the guy from
And then
American
he
Beauty.
shoots like a cannon at a fucking town and kills 300 people.
Yeah, that's what like you love to see, just like random civilians being fucking
yeah,
slaughtered.
yeah. It was
how
just very
fun.
odd.
Let the innocents go.
They are no innocent.
It's way
So, like,
too
the-
short. I mean, you
The
mentioned
climax of the movie is like 45 minutes into the movie. It makes no sense.
Yeah, everything's like so truncated, and yeah, I mean, you mentioned the thing like he refused to burn down the hospital. It's hard to even like follow. Like the prologue like goes by so quickly. It's
Yeah.
like hard to even like grasp like what's going on. It's just a bunch of like. The whole movie has like a lot of mumbo jumbo, like, oh, you're gonna fight for, you're the man inside, whatever the fuck he says,
Yeah. It feels like it's not finished. Like that.
yeah,
Like they
it
just
does
didn't
feel
film
unfinished.
scenes, and like that whole opening, they cut to after the prologue. They cut to like an animated scene,
Mm-hmm.
so it shows you like everything that happened in between then and now. It's just like they did that so they don't have to film anything, and then they cut to Jonah Hex now, and his fucking face is all.
Well,
It's
John
ugly as-
Malkovich
yeah.
brands them, so it like
Yeah.
it's like not very appealing. It's just we talk about Deadpool, like it's funny, like his face is burned. This one is just like almost like he has like really bad dry mouth. Sometimes you have like
Yeah,
like a
it's
cold
like a
sore.
little-
Or whatever. It's like really
yeah.
bad. It's like all
Well, yeah, John Malkovich
Christ.
brands his face, so then he
Trying
messes
to
up his
save
face
his
even more
mouth.
with an axe. Yeah, it's like, okay. That's,
Well, he removes like I don't know if it's like some Confederate symbol or whatever, but he kind of like
yeah,
gets
it's
rid of
Quentin Turnbull's symbol.
that. Yeah.
It just kills innocent people every scene. Yeah, like he hijacks a train and like kills everybody.
Yeah. Michael Fassbender's his henchman. He's got like
Yeah.
tattoos all over his face.
Yeah, and
Does his regular, Irish accent.
his character sucks. Yeah.
It's funny how earlier we brought up how Josh Brolin ended up playing Thanos and Cable. Like a lot of the actors ended up doing better at like comic book movies afterward. Because then Michael Fassbender was Magneto and Michael Shannon pops up briefly. He was Zod. We can debate how good those movies are, but he did play him after. And then I think John Malkovich is going to be in the new Fantastic Four. The plot of the movie is it reminded me a bit of The Outlaw of Josie Wales as Clint Eastwood. Like basically, John Malkovich murders Turnbull. He murders Jonah Hex's family. Side note: this might sound weird. I thought the screams when the family was being burnt were kind of funny. It's okay because they're not real. So Jonah Hex vows vengeance. He becomes a bounty hunter, and I especially thought it was funny, like the opening. He narrates blah blah blah. The title flashes on screen, Jonah Hex, and he goes, "This is my story."
This here's my story.
I think we already gathered that, and so yeah, he's like he wants vengeance. He's offered a chance to kill Quentin Turnbull, and on the way he meets Lila. Yeah, hooker with a hat of gold.
Pointless character.
Yeah, she's
Cut her out of this short movie, it would add nothing.
Right.
Or remove nothing, She's just all she does is add runtime to the film.
Right, which is sorely needed.
Yeah, exactly. And she's a
even
name as well, or at least at the time, she was more of a
'cause
name
of
than like Michael
Transformers.
Shannon and Will Arnett, which is crazy, but yeah.
All right, Will Arnett's in it. Yeah, it's whenever I saw him, I just pictured Job from Arrested Development.
He was so funny whenever he was in the movie. It's like that first scene with him in the wherever the fuck that was at the Oval Office.
Oval Office.
He's talking to the president. Yeah, it's so
by
silly.
Aiden
It's just
Flynn.
so fucking silly. It's too much. And I was laughing my ass off at the end there when basically John
He gets blown
Malkovich's plan, his evil plan, is he has this weapon that is like the nuclear bomb of like the Western times. It's like before, Dr. Oppenheimer invented
It was an inspiration for Oppenheimer in the movie.
Yeah, it's a prequel. Well, even as a line like, "One day we'll have weapons that could level continents, but until now I'll have to settle for this shitty fucking cannon that shoots out a glowing cannonball." And I guess it blows up, it could blow up a town or some shit.
They try to blow up the Capitol.
It's so stupid. Yeah, so, right, they got a big cannon that they're going to shoot at the Capitol, and that's literally like the climax. Like, that's like the whole story. It's like the stupidest... We're gonna shoot a fucking cannon at the Capitol building.
Yeah, very basic.
and Lance Reddick is there.
Rest in peace. Yeah, another actor
but he's there at
wasted.
the. They introduce him earlier in the movie in one scene, just so they establish. Like Jonah Hex has a friend, which he's there at the Capitol listening to some speech or some shit with his kids.
Yeah,
just
it's
to give the
Grant,
climax
I
of
guess.
tension.
Yeah, it's just like this one guy we met in another scene.
Yeah. But then anyway,
Yeah.
Will Arnett's there, and as they're about to shoot the cannon at the Capitol building, he's like, "Stop right now!" And then they just shoot a cannon at him. And it blow him up. It's so funny.
It would have been great if when the bomb approached him, they showed him saying, "I've made a huge mistake," because that's his catchphrase in Arrested Development. That would have been great.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah.
That I'm not even opposed to like comedic actors doing dramatic roles, because we like Nick Offerman in Civil War, like that worked well. That was a good example. Yeah, but like this world is so like poorly established. It's hard to take anything seriously. You mentioned the Megan Fox character, like they have like no chemistry. It's like when she's like a hooker, right? Like Jonah Hex shows up. She's like Jonah Hex, and then they just like go into bed together.
Yeah,
it's
Next
like
scene
so
she's on in bed. Yeah,
so dull. You think like Raiders of the Lost Ark when like Indy when he meets Mary and she like throws the glasses down, she punches them, they're arguing. Like so much of their like relationship is established very quickly, but it's here. It's just a bunch of they're lying about.
That's good character development. We don't have time for that. We have time for Megan Fox in a corset or whatever.
Yeah, and
it's like you said, this isn't even the worst movie Megan Fox was in. It's been in.
It's Transformers too.
This is probably the worst movie like John Malkovich has been in though. One of the worst. I mean, this is fucking bad.
It's really
This movie's really bad. I mean, don't undersell it.
No, it is pretty bad. And another thing I was going to mention about that part is like when like Jonah and whatever the fucker name, the Tallulah, whatever her name is, like they show them in bed together, right? And then like I guess like in between like they have sex, and then like the next scene they're in like the same position, like lying on the bed. It's like it's like the same shot. It's like that part in the room where, like they go out to like they show like the skyline and they just cut back. It's like the same scene again. It reminded me of that. It's like wow, like nothing has happened. It seems like we're just like stuck in the same place. Not very creative.
Another bit of padding in the film. It was like toward the climactic fight between John Malkovich and Josh Brolin. They cut to like them in a field fighting.
It's like a dream sequence.
It's like
I think
dream or like a metaphor or something, but it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't like, add up. It's like they just added like we need some more footage or something. Like film them in a field.
It makes you wonder. Like it does feel that way.
Had the runtime.
Was the script only like 65 fucking pages, or like did they just like cut out a lot of stuff?
Film part of it? I don't know. Or was it like just not good and they said make it as short as possible? I don't know what happened with this movie, but it's such a disaster. It's like when you watch a movie and you fall asleep and you wake up and you like miss like what happened. Yeah, right. It's like that. Like there's no journey. It's just like set up and then bam, you're at the climax. It's like there's no second act at all.
It moves at a quick it moves at a quick
like
clip.
There's like Quentin Turnbull's fucking brother or son or whatever. He's in like one scene. You like barely understand like anything that's like happening with that character.
Right. Yeah. To backpedal a little, like so I guess he was like Jonah Hex was left to dead, and like his power is like he can revive the dead.
Yeah, for like the second, like just touching them revives them, and then the second he lets go.
He spends a lot of time explaining it, and I guess like if like the longer he keeps, power. It is stupid.
The longer he keeps his hand on them, the more pain they're in. Or
they're like burning up. I mean, maybe it's cooler in the comic books, but like the movie doesn't communicate it that well. And like, it's funny how nonchalant like these people are from being like revived.
It's like you woke them up from a nap, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, get up. Yeah, it's like I better go back to like back to hell. It's like Jeffrey Dean Morgan's the friend. For the guy from Watchmen. It's right. You're right. It does like go by so fast, and like there's no sense of a journey taking place. And Jonah Hex is just kind of a boring character.
Terrible character.
He's just like a gruff, Clint Eastwood type, Western hero. But like, there's not much depth to him beyond that. Like, oh, he had a family. It's like it's always like the most like idyllic, setting. Oh, I love my son. I love my wife.
But you don't even get that. You just it just shows them like burning to death. You don't even see the family before really.
Well, there's a scene later in the movie, but other than that, you don't see them hardly. And also for context, like Josh Brolin, like this, he was kind of like making he was a kid actor. He was in the Goonies, but like he didn't do like a ton in between. Then like with No Country for Old Men and Milk, he was doing like much more like high profile stuff again. But this is just kind of like a footnote in his
this
work.
Is one of those like paycheck movies he did.
Yeah, especially because he did True Grit that year, which is a much better Western.
And, it's just one of his first. I think it's his first comic book role, maybe.
I think so.
Might have helped him get Thanos or
I don't know if it helped him. If anything, it would
You
have
don't think they
impeded
saw
it.
this role like this guy would be great for Thanos?
I think it was more like the rest of his work, like and Sicario, all the other movies.
Yeah.
I was after, but yeah, like he's just in the new Dune movies. He has a good part in those.
You can't stress enough just like how bad John Malkovich is in this. It's just like every scene is like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill every man, woman, and child in this country.
Just because
there's a
he's
scene
angry
where he
his son
says
died.
that. I'm gonna kill everyone in this country.
They could have showed more scenes of before Jonah Hex betrays him or whatever, vice versa.
I was thinking that too. It feels like we're kind of like halfway into his story.
Right.
Like I would have liked to see some of the before, like Jonah Hex being a Confederate soldier, like the relationship with like Turnbull's brother or whoever that was, the guy he brings back to life.
Well, it's Turnbull's son.
It's his son, right? But like his son, they say his son was gonna shoot Jonah Hex on his orders, and then Jonah Hex kills him. That's why he's dead. But like just to see that or have some kind of like understanding of any of that, that might have like added like to the runtime a little bit. It's just like these parts of the story, like you flesh them out a little bit. You don't just have like one scene and then that's it.
Especially because it's not like the stuff you show is that much more exciting by comparison. There's like barely any context or anything.
There's no development to anything. Even the horse, he just calls the horse because it has he doesn't have time to like give it a character or any kind of anything. And there's a dog in the movie too. It's just like there. It's there for a couple seconds.
You like him because he's got a dog. Hey.
Right. And Megan Fox is there as well. She doesn't do anything. The only thing she does is at the end, she lets him loose out of his handcuffs or whatever on the boat. That's pretty much the only thing she does.
The idea is like, let's run away together, Jonah. You're still, stuck in your ways. Like, can't we, make a getaway? He's like, I gotta... protect the people, whatever the fuck he says.
Yeah.
It's all like the same like shit over and over. It's just like Jonah explaining like, the part with Lance Reddick. It's like, you could fight for a good cause, like, the hypocrites on both sides.
Exactly.
He's just like
at the end, the president to thank him, he's like, I'm gonna make you sheriff. Or what? But it doesn't make any sense. Even he's like, of what? I don't think America has a sheriff. Doesn't make sense.
I don't think countries have sheriffs.
What did that even mean? And he just puts it down and walks out.
There's like nobody else in the Oval Office besides him and the president. It's like it's such like a bare bones operation there. Just because like it almost feels like the budget like was like way too low for this kind of movie.
Yeah, definitely. It feels like the budget was like nothing.
It's also just like not that pleasant to look at. It's like very dark kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was trying to think if like there were any like good comparison, like other like superhero Western movie. I guess like the best one I could think of is Logan, and it's kind of like has like Western vibes to it because I mentioned Shane, but that's like much more like aesthetically pleasing and exciting.
Mm-hmm. There's like no reason to watch it.
not really.
That's my favorite kind of movie.
It's hard to even get mad at it because it is so short. It's like, oh, it's over.
But at the same time, it's so incompetent. It's like
it is
the
very
Snowman
incompetent.
Or something. It's just why he's just like
also
wasted.
with Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, but he's just like wasted everyone's time. Like with this film, it didn't even. It shouldn't have been released in this condition. Like it doesn't
especially
feel
by
finished.
Warner Brothers. It should have been like direct to video.
Yeah,
almost.
Mm-hmm. It feels like direct to video. If it wasn't for like the stars like Josh Brolin and Megan Fox, it might have gone straight to video because it feels like something like that.
Yeah, also Megan Fox, like especially how like she appears in the movie, it's like way too modern a sensibility. Like her hair, like she just looks like how she does in Transformers. Like it's just like a Halloween costume.
She just looks like Megan Fox, and it looks like they just put like Vaseline on the lens or some shit during her shots. Right? They were just so soft. Like there was like a soft kind of filter on the thing on the lens. I don't know why they did that, but. I guess to make it look like more like an old-timey Western, maybe?
She's a Southern belle with her cowboy lover,
Southern
Jonah.
boar, this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and even like they do attempt jokes, but they're pretty weak. It's like it's like after they have sex, like a bunch of like the cavalry come in. It's like, how many Johns do you see in a day?
Yeah, right.
Like
well, the
really
running
dumb
joke is like people ask him how he fucked up his face, and he gives them like an answer. I caught it shaven.
But like, and also like he immediately shoots them.
Yeah, so it's like, why'd you even give him an answer?
And that's like another scene. You can like stretch that out a little more. It could be like funny to see like somebody like try to pick a fight with Jonah, and then like he shows him his boss. But again, it's like
dynamic,
like 10 seconds long.
It's too short to have any scenes. So I couldn't even understand what he was saying most of the fucking time. It was like, why's your face all fucked up? All right, guys, I swear to God, that was a scene in the movie.
I don't know, like why is that like make like interesting that he can like it's not like the Joker, like he looks scary with his scars on his face and the lipstick.
Yeah, it's not interesting. That's a good point.
Yeah, it just feels like a very dated, like kind of superhero movie. Just like disposal. That's what like even though it's much more recent, like Morbius kind of remind me of that kind of like era.
Right.
Of super, just like kind of like Diamond does it. Just like kind of blended in.
This kind of used to be more of a thing. Yeah, it's kind of a time capsule.
Yeah,
I don't see a movie like this getting released now, but yeah, it's just interesting to watch. Yeah, it's got a decent amount of. Right, like production value to it too, like at least with the stars and stuff, and it is a Western, so there's like horses, and I mean none of it's well done, but I'm just saying, it's like they put a lot into it. It's probably a decent, $47 million budget. Didn't make nearly that, but right, it's just like a reminder. Like they don't really do $50 million movies anymore. At least not superhero movies.
No, it's like everything's fucking.
Yeah, every superhero movie is like $200 million. That's what made Deadpool such a oddity, right? Because that's like another one of those, but except that was actually good.
And they kind of worked around like the limitation. Like they joked like they couldn't afford like the other X-Men or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a matter of talent and is the character interesting? Deadpool's a good character. Jonah Hex is not that good of a character. I mean, maybe the books are better or whatever, but in this film, it's just like he's just boring, and you can't understand what the fuck he's saying. And every character's one-dimensional. And then if you go like take a dump and come back, the movie's over. So it's hard to like recommend.
Yeah, it's shorter than Jonah, a VeggieTales movie, which is also better.
Yeah. Another Jonah movie.
I can add random fact, but Matt LeBlanc is one of the producers on this. I guess because he did the show Joey right after Friends, he had like some kind of production deal. But yeah, so he's like in the credits. They could have made him Joey Hex. They could have been his Italian cousin. Hey, yo, Jonah, hey. What's wrong with your face?
Yeah, great movie. Yeah. Good job, everybody.
Yeah. Good job. It doesn't seem like this one has many defenders. It's not like, like the Snyder fans are going to come, how dare you.
I don't know who would defend this film, honestly.
Yeah, it was critically reviled. Roger Ebert gave it 2 out of 4 stars. Even that feels generous.
Yeah, that is generous. He was probably in a good mood or something.
But he still didn't even like it.
I just love this movie because it's so it's just like a disposable piece of shit. It's just made to be forgotten.
Yeah. Even at it's not like. I mean, you mentioned it. I mean, I remember seeing the poster for it. It's not like, I was at a party and somebody said, did you ever see Jonah Hex? You should check that out. That's never happened.
It never happened. It's like you saw the poster once, probably 12 years ago or however, 14 years ago when it came out.
Yeah.
and then you never thought about it again until this day, until the day you watched it. You rented it from the library. And that's the way I want it.
Yeah, those are those are the fun kind of movies to talk about. It's just everybody agrees it was a failure. Yeah. Like the other great movies we mentioned that run short. Like Persona is not like a traditional hero's quest type story.
Right, for a hero's quest, you kind of need to like build up the world and the characters, and that takes time. Like you're talking about Star Wars or whatever. The first act of Star Wars is like 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah,
you gotta settle that shit up,
Luke.
which is it's great. And then Jonah Hex. It's like they're getting to like the ending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you said it'd be like if Leia didn't even rescue Leia by the end.
Well, that's where the movie ends. Like, I need a little short to be a stormtrooper, and then it's like credits.
Yeah, there's no like you're missing all this exciting stuff that makes movies fun to watch. And
Jonah Hex, you turned off your targeting computer. What's wrong?
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah, it's also this very cliche. There's like the part, like he's fighting Michael Fassbender's character, and the villain, the henchman's like, "Oh, is that all you got?" And then he like subdues him. So, it's like you've seen that scene in like so many other movies.
It might have helped the movie a bit if it was rated R, maybe.
Like, it feels so
have
sanitized.
Some blood. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Because like when he kills the Michael Fassbender character, he like hits his head against a gear or something. He's supposed to like break the back of his head open, but then they just show him on the floor. He's like, you got a little bit of blood pool behind him. It's so like, oh, that's lame. Right, where if you actually saw it again, it doesn't make the movie like a masterpiece or anything. But if you at least like get to see like his head blow up, that's at least fun.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, that's worth it, right? Maybe, but they don't even give you that. Like they don't give you that even the bare minimum.
Yeah, it's just it takes itself too seriously. I think something like Venom Let There Be Carnage like worked better because it embraced the fact that it's schlock.
Yeah, it's also a bit long. It had more resources and just everything. Venom Let There Be Carnage. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm at a loss for words with Jonah Hex.
You're verklempt by Jonah Hex.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not something I'm going to revisit. It's also funny. I'm holding the DVD that I rented from the library. I don't know if you can see it.
With the green screen.
I can get rid of my background for a second. Yeah, you can see they're hiding the fact that his face is burnt on the DVD cover. You can see. Mm-hmm. And it's also on the back. It says Josh Brolin and Megan Fox sizzle. I think that's a bit of an overstatement. Definitely not in this movie.
They sizzle. Wait, you don't think they sizzle?
Maybe not. I gotta watch Jennifer's Body. I've still never seen that. That's probably better.
Body.
Right, that is.
Yeah, on Letterboxd. Sorry, on Letterboxd, Jonah Hex has 3 fans. 3 fans.
Fans, if you're out there, please comment and tell us why.
Yeah.
3.
Jonah Hex fans, please comment. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, we've had more jobs than this movie's had fans.
This movie, I don't know. I can't think of a joke.
It's
so. What would you
short.
Rate Jonah Hex?
I'm
trying to get this as long as possible, so we can
dragging it out.
We can get this discussion longer than Jonah Hex. Yeah.
I think maybe I'll go with a 2 out of 10 because I try to reserve like the half-star stuff for this like really painful. Like the Love Guru was painful. This is more like this kind of very dumb.
This is almost like in a league of its own where they did not give a single fuck making this movie. Like it's just a total piece of shit. It's almost unreleasable. It basically is unreleasable. It's like almost like an unfinished movie to me.
Yeah, because even like some of the other like bad superhero movies we've covered, like X-Men Origins Wolverine, the Fantastic Four ones, those at least felt a little more polished by comparison. They're still bad. Like they have like bad effects.
This is like they ran out of money or something.
Yeah.
And then they like threw some money at it to finish it up, put like the finishing touches on it. But yeah, it feels like a really cheap movie. Mm-hmm. But yeah, shocking.
What would you rate it?
Half star. I would go half star on it just because it is so incompetent. It's probably one of the most incompetent films to be released in the past like 2 decades or like this century. You know,
Was it the worst movie
after
that year?
2000.
It's worse than Twilight Eclipse. Like, that's better than this.
Yeah, it is. It's this movie. It doesn't feel finished. It doesn't feel like it's a complete film. It
No,
feels like
it
there's
doesn't.
scenes that are missing, and like they gave up on it. Which is that's not good. It's not quite as unfinished as Snowman, where it just like doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah,
but that was
one's
also like
literally
that was a mystery,
incomprehensible.
so that was like
Yeah.
bound to fail. Like like because they're so intricate. This is just like a dumb like all right, he just shoots a bunch of people. But still, the movie it's fucking horrible. It's just so dumb. This movie, and
Yeah.
it's just like it's just fucking dumb, and it doesn't challenge you in any way, and it doesn't. It's so
challenging.
short. It doesn't challenge me like Challengers did.
Yeah, another
That movie
way
challenged
better
me.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
All right,
Right,
so yeah,
it
half
was
star
more yeah.
for Jonah.
We can cover some more bad superhero movies because they're fun to discuss.
Yeah, it's funny you say the superhero movie. I say comic book. I guess he's a superhero because he
He
has a
kind of has
superpower.
powers.
He's just a shitty superhero. Like it's like the worst power.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like that
he's
X-Men I mentioned in one of my reviews of Marvel stuff. There's the X-Men and X-Men 3 who can write without a pen. He like
I remember that.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
wow, what a fucking great power, huh?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's
the other
really
guy,
useful.
In the second one, another much better movie. But yeah, like the guy with the kid, he like blinks, he changes the channel or whatever
Yeah.
on the TV.
But even that makes more sense. Like, okay,
Yeah,
maybe he controls like electrical waves,
devices, yeah.
right? So that could be. But this like, there's no other application for this power other than to write like without a pen, which
Yeah,
makes it
I'm trying
extra
to-
silly.
Yeah, was this? It might have. It was probably like the worst like comic book movie that year. Because what else? There was like Scott Pilgrim, which we mentioned earlier.
Which is one of the
and,
best comic book movies.
That's a
like,
good one.
ever.
Yeah, I agree. Iron Man 2, which was not great, but definitely better than this.
I'm pulling up the old the list.
Kick Ass. I don't love Kick Ass. I think
I
other
like
people
Kick Ass
like
a
that.
lot. Yeah, but
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. I think other people like it more than I do.
I really like Kick Ass. I like it more than Argyle, same director.
I'll take the word for it. I like X-Men First Class. That's a good Matthew Vaughn movie.
So as far as comic book movies, I mean, it was Red a comic book? That was also John Malkovich.
I'm not sure. I didn't see Red. I know you weren't crazy about it.
No.
I watched
I
the
think
scene
Red
of it
might
in
have been.
class.
Yeah.
I think those were the big ones, the one we mentioned. It's not a comic book. Megamind was a superhero movie that year. I liked that one.
Yeah.
I think that was about it. Unless I'm missing.
Yeah, no, it's pretty. Yeah. Jonah Hex is the worst comic book movie that year, for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
You heard it here,
I
folks.
agree. Yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff from that year, but
There were a lot of good movies like Inception and Toy Story 3 and Social Network. Some good stuff. True Grit we mentioned. Yeah. We'll cover something good next time. Not that Deadpool
don't make
Wolverine was
promises we can't keep.
bad. I like to balance it out. We'll do a good one, kind of like a good one, like a recommendation one, and then like a funny one to cover, shit on.
Yeah, I'm sure people are tired of us talking about superhero shit.
Yeah,
They want to
we'll
see
mix
us
it
talk
up
about
next
some
time.
real cinema. What happened
Yeah.
to Ralph talking about real cinema?
Do a Criterion.
He just
collection
cares about
pick
the
or something.
views. What happened? All right.
He had a dent in his car right there for Vicky to see.
Dent in his car like the guy from To Boldly Flee.
Right. There's like
The
tape on
opening.
the side of it. You could just like use a different car.
Yeah, could have just filmed the other side of the car.
This is going to turn into a Taboli Flea discussion.
That's what
I can't believe-
everything turns into. It turns into a Channel Austin discussion or a Scorch discussion. Hey, it's me, Scorch. This band fucking sucks.
So I saw this movie Deadpool, and the guy, he stabs people, and the thing is, we go back in time. And,
You can't explain anything. His name is Wolverine, and Wolverine is from the other movie, but he's back, and he's a different one, and now it's Hugh Jackman, he's another one.
And then Jonah Hex, he's got a bird mark on his face. Weird
He
news.
has a dog like I have a dog. It smells like piss. Yes, Scorch apparently has lots of dogs and is covered in dog hair. It smells like dog piss. That's a fun fact about Scorch, in case you didn't know.
He's a real life Jonah Hex.
Yeah. I want to see Scorch could actually play like Jonah Hex